Um, it's been our pleasure to have everyone here, and for friends and family to share in this special day. And I'd like to thank all that have participated in it. I'd like to thank my wife especially because she has tirelessly worked on the set. She's done a lot of things, actually. I won't even go into all of them, but you know what? I sat back and I thought, wow, what a person who chases after the presence of God. And then you think and you go, what is Christmas? A lot of times we lose track of what Christmas is. Christmas, for some, they might be sitting there thinking it's hoping for something that might happen. But that's not right. Christmas isn't hoping for something good to happen. Christmas is us retelling the story of something good that has already happened. Today is the day that we celebrate because we remind ourselves and everyone that the light has come into the world. The light of the world has come to meet with each one of us. There is hope for us today because the baby Jesus was born in Bethlehem. He now stands and intercedes before God. He stands at the Father's side and says, I want to intercede for Sam. I know he's done this wrong. I know he's done that wrong. But I bridge that gap. Because remember, when I was born in that stable and I was crucified, he accepted my sacrifice. So for each one of us that have accepted the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, he stands now and intercedes for us. And I came across a story, well actually years ago I came across a story and then I had to find it again because I thought, what better tells this than this story I remember hearing? And I want to read that story. The story is called Keeping Jesus Warm. In 1994, 2 Americans answered an invitation from the Russian Department of Education to teach morals and ethics based on biblical principles in the public schools. They were invited to teach at prisons, businesses, the fire and police department, and a large orphanage, about 100 boys and girls who had been abandoned, abused, and left in the care of a government-run program. They relate the following story in their own words. It was nearing the holiday season, 1994, time for our orphans to hear for the first time the traditional story of Christmas. We told them about Mary and Joseph arriving in Bethlehem, finding no room in the inn. They went to a stable where the baby was born and placed in a manger. Throughout the story, the children and the orphanage staff sat in amazement as they listened. Some sat on the edge of their stools trying to grasp every word. Completing the story, we gave the children many things to build their own manger. The orphans were busy assembling their manger as I walked among them to see if they needed any help. All went well until I got to one table. Where little Misha sat. He looked to be about 6 years old and had finished his project. As I looked at the little boy's manger, I was startled to see not one, but 2 babies in the manger. Quickly, I called for the translator, asked the lad why there were 2 babies in the manger. Crossing his arms in front of him and looking At this complete manger scene, the child began to repeat the story very seriously. For such a young boy who had only heard the Christmas story once, he related the happenings accurately until he came to the part where Mary put Jesus in the manger. Then Misha started to ad lib and made his own ending. He said, "And when Maria laid the baby in the manger, Jesus looked at me." And he asked me if I had a place to stay. I told him I have no mama, I have no papa, so I don't have a place to stay. Then Jesus told me I could stay with him. But I told him I couldn't because I didn't have any gift to give him like everyone else did. But I wanted to stay with Jesus so much. So I thought about it. Well, maybe I could give him a gift. I thought maybe if I kept him warm, that would be a good gift. So I asked Jesus, if I keep you warm, will that be a good enough gift? And Jesus told me, if you keep me warm, that will be the best gift anybody ever gave me. So I got into the manger, and then Jesus looked at me, and he told me I could stay with him forever and always. As little Misha finished his story, his eyes brimmed full of tears that splashed down his little cheeks. Placing his hands over his face, his head dropped to the table, and his shoulders shook as he sobbed and sobbed. The little orphan had found someone who would never abandon or abuse him. Someone who would stay with him always. I've learned that it's not what you have in your life, but who you have in your life that counts. You know what? If you've grown up in the church, if you've been around religious circles, chances are you can articulate the manger scene, the Bethlehem story. But it may be just an academic exercise, exercising the knowledge of being able to recite a story. Or you might be here like Misha, an orphan, abused, abandoned, mistreated, and left to fend for yourself. Did you know Jesus Christ, the Messiah, is here today to meet with each one of us at our point of need, at our point of understanding? I'm leaking. Something came to me about a week ago. I was sleeping, and I thought, have you ever been in a room that was pitch black? And I thought, well, I've been in a room that was semi-black, I guess, yeah. I mean the kind of darkness that there ain't no shadows. You find yourself in this room, what's your instinct is what? To find a wall and start feeling around, trying to find that switch. Lo and behold, you find the switch. You flick the switch, and what happens? You find yourself in a blinding light. What can you see? Nothing. The light's so bright, you need to take a moment for your eyes to be able to adjust. And I thought, that is life, isn't it? Here we are. We have two choices in life. One, you can quickly shut that switch off and go back to the familiar ground of stumbling around in the dark. Or you can stand in the light. You can allow the warmth of its rays to warm you up. And as we grow in our relationship with Jesus Christ, our eyes begin to see him for who he is. You know what? This morning, this whole thing has been about inviting you into the security of his light. You know what? All of us could probably say we've had flickers of light in our life before. But for one reason or another, it was too overwhelming. So we slipped away into the shadows. I know for a fact I've done that. You slip back into the shadows because the light is too scary, too blinding. Jesus Christ is here, and he's got one thing to say. I want you to experience lasting peace. Misha has seen something in that manger that he knew he needed. A savior, a friend, someone that wouldn't abandon him, someone that wouldn't leave him, someone that wouldn't betray him. He came to Jesus and said, this is the best I can do. You know what? Light reveals the bare naked truth. Until we get to the point where we can come to God and say, this is all I have. I got nothing else to bring. I can bring myself. Everything else has been taken from me or broken or abused. All I have left is a broken me. And Jesus said, my child, that is the best gift you could ever bring to me. Come and enjoy the light and warmth of my love. We're going to do two last songs. I've asked Pastor Glenn and Lois if they would be available. If there's anyone here that would say, you know what? I've been that person. I've slipped away from the light because I was scared. But I've known that light. Today I want to come and bring myself. And I want to live in the peace. I want to know that Jesus Christ has me.